Welcome back to NieR. So, let's go first. I think at still resolving a couple of the side quests, but then we'll actually go to Emil's house.
Welcome back to NieR City Life.
Yeah.
All right, first let's ask to
Hey,
the
these things seems to be
shopper.
better here, surprisingly.
Remember-
Excellence and paddle boards.
Here's a positive news for the starters. Despite the 5-year time skip, apparently the strange fig shop owner still manages to hold his marriage with his wife.
Yeah,
Apparently he kept his promise. Yay!
Nice.
Yay.
Also,
Okay, I'll be back in a bit.
also,
Basically, we need to procure him some components which he'll convert into materials. Essentially, we need to bring some materials which will convert in more effective materials for the water wheel. Oh god, this side quest.
do you like flowers?
Why? You want me to join a cult?
Oh no, I just enjoy flowers, but there's so few out here in the desert.
That's just called a desert.
My dream is to find some flower seeds and turn this desert into a beautiful garden. I'm trying to collect pink moonflower seeds. It would be great if I could get 10 of them.
Alright, I already told you how the flower system works. In order to get pink seeds, you need to combine the blue, the yellow, and the gold one in a specific pattern on your 3 rows of your garden, and then let some time pass while watering them regularly. So, as you can imagine, I'm not gonna even bother with that side quest. Besides, it leads absolutely nowhere.
Maybe. What kind of work?
The rules state that we must make a ceremonial mask for our king, and I need help collecting the materials.
Your fucking rules.
Thank you. I will need 2 things from you.
This guy.
One is titanium alloy, which can be found very rarely.
I've just realized.
The other is a crystal, which is a special type of ore. I will need 1 of each item. Go ahead, Pedro.
Alright, get ready to wait for the next 5 years.
I just realized, Whips, the guy who wrote and directed A Talking Cat was the guy from that village. Because you know, I can't talk only once. It's the rule.
Well, Pedro, I've heard of strange.
Aww.
I've heard of stranger things than this. The guy who wrote the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie went on to make Manchester by the Sea.
Seriously though, Eric Roberts is in so much canon fodder film.
He was in a Doctor Who. He was in that Doctor Who TV movie.
Who, Eric Roberts?
Yeah.
I trust that you plan an opera side. Basically, the side quest of this guy is really easy. His kitchen literally exploded, so we need to find some robot parts that we will convert into a new kitchen. And he means like a traditional kitchen like the ones that we people use. With gas and everything. So essentially we need to kill some robots and giving it some material. Trust me, it's one of the more tedious one when it comes to collecting all the materials. So I'm gonna resolve it only later, I think. For now, I think I'm just gonna go to Emil. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. That's how you do in a bush.
Yeah. Oh, stop whining.
So essentially the whole village
for my
is.
goddamn daughter for 5 years.
Also, don't worry, Pedro. We cannot attack the chicken here, so they're not gonna storm us. Imagine if the cuckoo's mechanic was implemented. I dread the day.
Okay, then I'm going there.
Are there? Is it present? Since you may know it, Pedro, in Breath of the Wild.
I actually haven't tried it yet. Actually, I'll have to take a look at it. Hold on.
All right.
Give me a moment.
Sure. Besides, not much is going on. Papa NieR will have, I think, a moment here where he says he's gonna kill all the sheriffs.
I haven't played Breath of the Wild much since I completed it, so
Oh, you're waiting for the DLC campaign.
That too. It's just that I don't play Breath of the Wild much, so. Don't get me wrong. It's a great game. It's just that.
Yeah, time consuming. I get it.
Not just that. It's the fact that my problem is that it went so far to try to address the complaints of Skyward Sword, and in the same process destroyed what Skyward Sword did great. That's my problem with it.
What things?
like the touching story. Like for example, I really think Breath of the Wild is one of the dullest incarnations of Iroh. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some fun NPCs.
More like they wanted to go the Dark Souls route and have you like in a wasted world with very little story to speak of.
Yeah, basically,
to put the pieces back together.
The problem is that it's done NieR as well.
It just doesn't work with the Zelda format.
Because one of the things.
And once again, Ganon has no personality in that game from what
I
I've seen.
really don't like it whenever they go with just Ganon and not Ganondorf.
Yeah, like one cool thing that I like, even though technically Demise is also justified, I did like the fact that Demise explains why Ganon keeps coming back. And second, that game had Girahim, which is who is far more compelling of a villain than anything Breath of the Wild put out.
Besides, almost all of the bosses in Breath of the Wild are these those energy spirits that have corrupted the machines. Which they use different tactics, but they're literal bulls.
Like for example, one of the things that I really liked in Skyward Sword had Groose, for example. And Groose is one of the best characters in the entire series.
To give an idea, Shiro, if you don't know, Groose is basically a person that manages to have a music theme that's similar to the trumpet theme of Time and Eternity, but actually done right.
Or Fairfence Ref.
Yeah.
Except that it's done properly, because not only does it fit his character at the beginning, but then they actually change his theme to a different one as his character development goes.
Yeah, because he starts out as your basically Gaston, kind of like you, but he matures immediately.
Actually, too, I'd use, I think Bulk is a more apt analogy.
True.
He starts because Bulk and Skull also go through a character arc. Basically, Shiroi, think Bulk and Skull, except they're just one guy. Basically, you know, that's how in Power Rangers, Bulk and Skull start out as bullies, but then they eventually develop and become cops and become noble people. It's the same kind of thing for Groose.
Okay.
Alright, let's go see if Emil has done any progress here. Still monochrome as shit here. Don't understand how they do it.
Welcome, sir. Master Emil is waiting in his chambers.
Oh great, now we're in monochrome land again.
And he hasn't changed a bit.
I think I sense a subtext going here.
Trust me, we're gonna get answers. In the next part at least, but it's sooner than you may think.
At least we don't have to deal
Anyway,
with the house being
following
too
the recent
haunted
incident with
this
number
time.
6, hold on, it's important. We have decided to establish an archival room. This room will hold records of the methods used to control and or cancel all forms of magic, including petrification and bestial transformation, as well as allow other projects to move forward. Specifically, it should make easier for complete long-term storage solution to number 6, as well as proceed with our work on number 7. All employees are required to keep the courtyard entrance to this new room secure. Failure to do so is considered grounds for immediate termination. Planned Snow White also, there you go, it's called.
You think this room will let you harness the ability to control all forms of magic, correct?
That bestial transformation thing
Soon,
does raise
I
a few
will evolve
eyebrows.
from one page and I will become a sage and I'll be able to save Kainé. So how old is Emil right now, actually?
We don't know.
He doesn't even sound
trust
that
me-
much older in game.
Yeah, that again, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for all of these around the meal. But we're actually this story arc is actually about this story arc is entirely about learning about that, and even for himself,
It would
for
also allow us to
himself.
free Kainé from her petrified condition.
Wow, Vice. I didn't think you cared.
Oh come on, he had that one big friendship speech in 2 parts ago. Come on.
It should be
Give him
right
some
around
credit.
here somewhere.
Anyway, much like in Resident Evil, I think we need to press the fountain in order to reveal the basement.
Goody.
God damn it, Taro-san.
This also kinda counts as a double reference, although it's more towards Resident Evil, because we have a mention in a Square game that has kinda like a lab in its basement. Sounds familiar.
Someone bothered to attach a warning to this
Now
room
all we need is just a mutated girl chained up and is invincible unless you convince her
Well,
to
no,
jump towards her
that's again
mother's...
Resident Evil, but for the second reference, I was more thinking the Shinra mansion.
It's nothing. I'm fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, that
Then
one
again,
also
th-
had a
then
Kaufman.
again,
Whoa. To be fair to you, Final Fantasy VII
And now
also
it's time
did
for
have.
another new camera style, Diablo.
Okay. All right. Sure, why not?
Don't worry, the controls work exactly the same. What you need to do is to obtain the key cards and repel the shades until you progress through each room.
You have to equip the key card before you can open the door.
Thankfully, you
Okay,
don't
what's
need
with,
it.
what's with the random shifts?
It's paying homages, dweebs.
Paying homages and at the same time they're keeping things fresh.
At the same time, dweebs, don't worry, the controls feels exactly the same. So it's not.
You
It's a
just did an
changer.
isometric view.
Yeah, it's a changer only in camera perspective.
Then again, the one thing we have to remember is that, like, don't get me wrong, I like Yoko Taro, but I think he needs to his opinion that don't get me wrong too. I'm not saying that
No,
NieR
go
is
ahead.
I'm not saying that NieR. Sorry, I'm not saying that Remember Me is a bad game, like I said in our final thoughts. It's just
right.
that
I forgot that he
don't-
considers these like one of his favorite games.
No, it's not that. I don't have a problem with him loving the game. That's not my problem. My problem is him stating that he thinks Remember Me is the most beautiful game on the PS3.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
No. Don't get me wrong.
No,
Remember Me
but
looks fine.
Graphical wise, there have been much more polished games on the PS3, both on
Oh,
part of Sony
wait.
and on third part.
Hold on.
Hold on. Just saying.
Hold on. You're saying that he meant that in... I thought he meant that in... Wait, did he mean that in
Beautiful to look
graphics?
at. Yeah.
Beautiful graphics, you mean?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, if he'd have, if it weren't for the text and them constantly mentioning that they're in Paris, I wouldn't have believed that was Paris.
Not just it's not even just that. It's just that I mean, with games like even Final Fantasy 13, for as much shit as we give that game, Final Fantasy 13 looks way more beautiful than NieR does. Sorry, than Remember Me does. So I fail to understand his point there.
Maybe
he
he...
just lacks experience.
Are you sure he
No,
meant...
no, that's fine. It's just that he specifically said graphics.
Yeah, in a sense that maybe he had,
Pedro, the thing
maybe
about
he-
opinions is
Yeah.
that
not
they're
just that,
opinions.
Shiro. Not just that, Shiro. Maybe he just hasn't played titles that may change such an opinion.
Maybe he prefers the art style, too.
Plus.
But that's the thing, Jove. I've
also-
seen games with a similar art, well, not art style, but graphical style. Remember Me, but done in a more polished way.
Everything's on...
Also, Shiro, here's the thing. Yes, everybody's entitled to an opinion. I never said otherwise. It's just that I mean, you can't. But at the same time, you can't. But at the same time, if you make an opinion that sounds a bit illogical, it's you have to expect people to question it a bit. Come on.
Well, I mean, I'm not quite sure if it's illogical, if it's what he thinks and feels of it. I mean, heck, art can be subjective, and who knows, maybe it was something in the art style and something that came with it. I mean, I would need to
Also,
see
I
his
know
exact
that,
words.
but opinions shouldn't really be taken seriously in most cases.
Sure.
He
But
might
to
be
see,
wrong,
Shiroi,
but
this is
still,
the.
let him have his
But to
cake
see,
and eat it.
Shiroi, this is the internet in 2017. Everything needs to be taken seriously.
And I mean,
Oh,
heck.
yeah, cool.
And I mean, heck, I mean, cool. If he feels that it's the most beautiful game on the PS3 for whatever reason, well, as long as he just supports it well enough, I have no qualms.
I
I'm
don't
more
have problems with it
surprised.
either.
I'm more surprised to see that Taro is still one of those Japanese developers who has, much like, for example, Kojima, as actually are respected and interested in Western developed video games.
He does actually. He's a
That's
huge
good.
fan.
Yeah,
He's a huge
because-
fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, for example.
I mean, now
Because,
both of them
because-
even, both Katara and Kojima even got Platinum Games involved in one of their series' games.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what Kojima's relationship with Platinum was. Probably he was very curious about their style, and when he saw that the project of Rising could not be implemented with the Fox, and he just decided to talk to them. But I don't know
Yeah.
how he actually contact them. If it was interest at the beginning or it was Konami who pitched it.
No, it was Kojima who specifically picked because he realized that the original idea for Rising was to make a game that was equal slashing, equal stealth, like a balance of the two. However, it just wasn't working out, so Kojima decided, you know what, let's just make this a full-blown action game.
Yeah.
And he figured, okay, what's the best developer out there for this kind of shit? Platinum Games? Okay, let's go with them.
Don't worry, guys,
Alright.
though, they're still stealth. We even brought back the cardboard box Rising.
It plays a very minor role, though, Jova. It's
I know.
much like what Johnny said. This is an action game through and through.
That's the
Well,
joke.
I gotta say though, considering a common criticism of Platinum Games is that their games are a bit too much on the short side. It's funny how it's interesting how Yokotaro picked them for an RPG.
Oh, hold on.
What's this?
Well, from what I've heard,
Hold
NieR
on,
Automata is
guys.
actually pretty big. so-
Important stuff a bit. A new document. Notice
Hmm.
progress 12/25/2025. We have completed initial research into number 6 and we're ready to initiate the startup experiment in the coming days. As this will likely mark the great leap forward in the Gestalt research, the National Weapon Research Laboratory has made the completion of the number 6 project.
It would appear this used to be some manner of laboratory.
This must have been where I was.
Emil?
Oh,
Starting to remember something?
okay, I'm not gonna say anything, but hold
We
on.
need to keep going.
Let me guess, he was either born here or he was genetically altered here.
We'll
Okay.
see, Jova.
Like with
Okay,
Cloud
I'm
from Final
not-
Fantasy VII.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything aside from this one sentence, but I'm starting to realize why Yoko Taro really loved Final Fantasy 15. I'm starting to realize why.
Final Fantasy
I'm not gonna say anything
15.
more. Sorry, Jova.
Wait, hold on. Are you...
If you wanna do it, type it in your personal chat, might as well.
Oh, so what were his words on Final Fantasy 15?
Well, let me get it. But basically, there was the PlayStation America is having this thing of creators' choices, where they pick these famous developers for PlayStation, and they ask them to pick their favorite games on the store, so we can actually show them, like, basically a creators, famous creators' recommendations.
Yeah.
And the Taro recommended games like Final Fantasy 15, Horizon Zero Dawn, other stuff. Let me see. Let me get the actual thing. Creators.
Anyway, essentially, as you see, the rooms are essentially this. You need to break, like I said before, some crates. But the important stuff is to find the key cards in order to proceed through each room and fitting the shapes. But as you can see, thanks to the spear, I can cover a much larger range of attacks and deal with multiple enemies in the process. In turn, this means that due to these accommodation of the game, more shades will be thrown at me at the same time. However, it's not a big deal, especially considering I'm playing on the easy setting. Hard mode, as I mentioned, is not that big of a deal, but I'm just showcasing this just for the sake of making the playthrough a bit on the easy side for it to record and digest. Otherwise, we'll be like here, 10 parts just to get through a room. Anyway.
That's it. Discover.
If I recall, Shiro Taro even liked Undertale or something.
Nice.
That doesn't surprise me.
They took, there was a quote from him in one of the special PS4 ads. It was quite funny.
Yeah, here we go. I don't know, Joe, you wanted to answer? Don't worry, Teo. He doesn't spoil anything on it.
Sure.
You can even check it out here on the PlayStation American blog. We have Yoko Taro specifically saying why he loves these specific games that he recommends you get on the PlayStation Store. So here what he says for Final Fantasy 15. I was creating a title called NieR Gestalt/Replicant when this title was called Versus 14, but because it was very likely that our games would release around the same time, I was thinking, oh man, Versus is an action RPG, right? It would suck if the release dates were close to each other. NieR ended up releasing without having to worry about Versus 14, but then I was creating Dark Guard 3, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so looking back, I feel like I was trapped by the curse of Versus for about 10 years. This game and its content created over the course of 10 years is unparalleled and unique, and I enjoyed it a lot. The one thing that surprised me the most is their incomprehensible passion towards food and beverage. Final Fantasy is amazing. Not just bad, but I'm pretty sure he appreciated the camaraderie and brotherhood elements. Like I said before, as far as I'm concerned, Final Fantasy 15 has the least sexist portrayal of men in a video game ever.
And that's a lot considering that Gladio is essentially the Bara character.
I know.
Yeah, and yet he's the one who has a deep passion for cup noodles.
If I recall, if I remember, we actually...
Tabata decided to completely rape that stereotype in the ass.
If I recall, they actually implemented like a cup noodle hat or something.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Don't worry, it's not Krispy Kreme level of obvious.
When you say
Embrace the memes.
when you say cup noodles, are you referring to something like pot noodles?
It's like Dribs. It's like a famous brand of noodle. I think, at least in Japan.
Noodles in it's just noodles in a cup or a pot or whatever that you just pour hot water into. And
yeah, it's a ramen at least.
Yeah, yeah. Round here we have something like that. It's called pot noodles.
One tastes nicer than the other. 3 guesses which.
Oh, by the
Shira, is that chicken and mushroom by chance?
Oh god, I hate mushrooms. No, curry.
Anyway, you were saying
But I love the chicken and mushroom flavour.
Well, you can have those then.
ladies, you're both beautiful.
I can't be afraid to say that everything with a specific involves noodles.
And by the way, Taylor, here's what.
yes.
And by the way, Taylor, here's what he has to say about The Last Guardian. Just like you predicted that he loved it. I've waited 7 years. 7. I love Fumitoueda's creations, and I didn't think that I would play after waiting 7 years since it was announced. The finished game was beautiful to the very last detail, and the content was like a gem. This is a game that I ended up feeling happy to have been able to play while I was still alive. You and everybody else, buddy.
I meant to ask actually, Pedro. Now all of you guys have done the playthrough of the game. Would you say it's a game I'd like?
Possibly.
You would like the story.
Yeah, but the thing with you is that it proceeds with a very slow pace. So let me put it the best way I can, Webs. You would like the story, but not the gameplay.
Well, in that case, I'll just
think about it like this, Dwebs. Think about it like the gameplay is
very slow and puzzle driven.
The gameplay is essentially a pet.
Yeah, I'll probably just stick to a YouTube watch or something.
The gameplay is
that's better for you.
The gameplay is essentially a giant pet simulator.
That's true.
Yeah, that's not really my thing.
I mean, granted, it's a pet that can shoot lasers from its tail, but all the same, a pet simulator.
Oh, but here's one that you'll like, this.
Daily reminder that Trico is the best pet ever.
Well, what was I like?
Yes, he is.
Here's one that you'll like, Dwips. He also, one of his picks is also Life is Strange. There's a game called Remember Me that was released for the PS3. And the company that created the game is Dontnod Entertainment in France. And as a new title from that studio, I just can't help but pay attention to. Wait, what is this graphic? The direction is completely different. This surprise was how I met Life is Strange.
Yeah, Life is Strange is extremely
get back to
popular.
recording that game as soon as I can.
For some reason, Life is Strange has been extremely popular in Japan, so that's why Dontnod has managed to stand on its feet.
Well, considering who the publisher is.
Yeah, Square, but at first they didn't know if it would have been successful. It's one of those things that like exploded and people did not see it coming. Especially because, again, normally Japan is extremely picky in franchises that are developed in the West.
He's also a big fan of the Gravity Rush series. And guess what, Jova? He's a fan of Danganronpa.
Oh, nice.
He doesn't talk anything about the third one, though.
Well, the third one ain't out yet.
Oh, it's out. Wait, hold on. The third one is out over in Japan.
Well, it wasn't out when he made this speech, yes, but now it is.
I wonder what he thought of E3.
If he was a fan of it, he was.
Let's just say this: V3 is basically the creators literally going up to every single Danganronpa fan and kicking them in the balls. Like, I looked into it, and yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I did too, and from the sounds of it, it sounds even worse than how Lightning Returns ended.
Let me put it like this.
Probably that's the sad
the
part.
ending for Danganronpa 3.
No.
V3.
Okay.
Let's just say, Shiwa, that ending might possibly be even more insulting than Lightning Returns.
The video game or the anime?
Okay. Just to clarify, Shiroi. The anime is called Danganronpa 3. The third game is called V3.
Hold on. Next note. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Notice 9/12/2026. Today's meeting will address the following topics: a solution for long-term storage of number 6, a progress report of number 7, these guys in the laboratory above ground facilities are mentioned. Also notice the photos.
Oh, goody.
I called it.
Project number 6. Was this some sort of weapons laboratory?
Something
Yeah.
from the old world, I guess.
What was I doing?
No, you're not a member of Soldier, Emil.
I have doubts as to whether or not Emil will be able
Or
to
shield. Or Hydra.
Fine, let's just go.
Hail Hydra.
You know too.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, even though gameplay-wise, the original chapter 13 of Final Fantasy 15 is quite bollocks, story-wise, I thought it was fantastic, specifically because of how the way it's told. And now that I'm checking this out, I think you're gonna love that one as well, story-wise, because it's very similar to this.
Right.
Again, at least at the point of this recording, which is essentially almost before episode Igni is supposed to come out, I try my fucking best to not spoil the game, but it's so hard. Not because I'm like tempted or something, but because with every single trailer for any new piece of content or news, they assume that you play the game, so of course they tell you some information that you're probably not supposed to know. So I'm really considering like one of these days just spoiling you or something, but I don't want to.
Of
Just
what
get the
now?
game when you can. Just wait till you have to be able to get the game.
I
Spoiling what
suppose
now?
I should. Oh, 15, Jova.
Oh, I thought you knew
I mean,
about how
considering the
that is.
PC version is gonna come out in January, they'll probably also release a Game of the Year edition for consoles as well. So,
Probably. After episode Ignis, probably, yeah. There we go. We're almost at the end of a laboratory, don't worry. In fact, this is the last set of rooms.
it
We
will actually serve. Alright,
Go ahead.
It will actually serve your purposes very well, considering as of right now, if you put in Final Fantasy 15 for the first time on your console, the total, the most recent total of patches combined is like 16 gigabytes.
Wow. Oh, it looks like a child's playroom?
Well, remember, including in those patches is actually brand new cutscenes and shit. So
True.
Oh, wow.
The plot thickens. There was a tree in the middle. Child was supposed to play here, but this was supposed to be a laboratory.
He's also a huge fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. The thought that he even said, by the way, the release date of this game was only 1 week apart from NieR Automata, the game I created. I thought I was going to die. Well, I did die. I just noticed that I keep on talking about it.
You know, I think Shitakami and Yamazaki also participated in this.
No, this is
Game
only for
choice.
PlayStation. This is only for PlayStation.
Oh no.
creators,
I'm not talking about the PlayStation one. I think that there was another counterpart for Japanese developers in general. Let me check.
Go ahead. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Alright,
all
new note.
I'm talking about probably something different.
Notice 10/11/2025. The donor body Halua has been chosen from among the 7 candidate subjects to proceed to the next stage. In the interest of protecting the state's secrets, all but one of the remaining subjects will be disposed of. The donor body Emil, however, will be kept in storage as a failsafe measure. It's stated 2025, but right now it's like 3,030 something.
You sure you're okay?
So Emil should be technically 1,000 year old.
Oh.
Interesting.
It seems as if he's trying to remember something.
You're going to be okay.
Whatever memory block they put on you is kind of rubbish if it can just be triggered by
Your past makes no difference. We'll support you no matter what.
At any
support
rate,
you,
you would
Boba.
hardly be the first member of our merry band to have issues.
obtained WA keycard.
Yeah, I command you to wank. Anyway, where we
Said
go?
WA, not wank.
We're just outside of that door. There is a corridor and then the boss of this laboratory. However, we're gonna...
Memory 1, memory 2.
What?
Guitar is so clever.
Anyway, we're gonna face that actually and discover, put the pieces together of Emil's past. in the next part. So see you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, see you then.